Look, I've accomplished a lot in my life, and while there is still more I want to do, and by no means do I think I'm perfect, I do feel like I've mastered self discipline well enough to get me to where I'm at today. Mastering self discipline over the years has no doubt helped me to reach new levels and goals I didn't know how to obtain. Being able to tell myself no, to hold myself accountable to the things I say I'm going to do, and stay disciplined in the face of temptation has built a resiliency and confidence in myself that I'm proud of. I think anyone can do and feel the same. In this episode, I'm sharing how mastering self discipline has helped me reach new levels. My hope is that you take some things away from this episode to start working on your own self discipline. So, before I dive into all things mastering self discipline and how it's helped me reach new levels, I want to take a moment to share what self discipline actually means to me. I see self discipline as the ability to do what needs to be done, even when I don't want to. And it's more than motivation. In fact, discipline means showing up and doing what I need to do, even if motivation doesn't exist. If I'm not motivated or I'm not inspired, but I still get up and do what I need to do, that is self discipline. I think a strong self discipline muscle is really what sets those who achieve the things they want most in life apart from those that don't. It's not easy to get up and go to the gym every day. It's not easy to turn down a vacation with your friends because you need to pay down debt. Self discipline means doing the hard things, the not easy things, so that you can get the things you want most out of life. If you see self discipline as a flaw, a weakness, or an unrealistic expectation, I challenge you to open your mind to the importance of it, especially for reaching those longer term goals. So let's move on to how I personally have mastered self discipline in my own life to reach my goals. I mentioned it earlier, but I do want to say it again. I am not perfect. I do not have perfect days. I do not always do the things that I need to do. But I do not let a not so perfect day derail my entire mission. Okay. So if I overspend, if I have, a treat, or if I do something that maybe isn't in line with my overall goals, I don't let that one instance stop me from what I'm ultimately trying to do. Okay. So I don't overspend and then throw my budget out the window for the month. No, I get right back on track. And I think that's where self discipline really has a huge impact. So I personally use each and every new day as an opportunity to just get back to doing what I need to do to reach the goals that really matter most to me. So, the first way that I have mastered self discipline is 10 plus years, so over a decade of consistent workouts. So I know I've been sharing my goals and routines on this podcast since we first started it back in 2022. And one thing you have always heard from me is how consistent my workout routine is. For over 10 years, I have maintained a Monday through Friday workout routine every day. And I've managed to stick with this cadence through stressful times, through losing my mom, through busy seasons, through working in corporate and running City Girl Savings full time, through weight gain. That's right. And trust me, I could have easily let like a growing scale weight derail me from getting my physical activity in, but I didn't. Okay. So I do just need to add that I don't work out on the weekends. So I do take weekends off. I might go for an occasional walk here or there, but I take weekends off, and I don't usually work out regularly or with the same vigor, I should say, while I'm on vacation. But other than that, there's not much that will take me out of my normal Monday through Friday workout routine. And because of this specific type of self-discipline, I have managed to keep my body free from pain. I have been able to enhance the functionality of my body. I have built physical strength, I've increased my mental clarity, and I've shown myself that I am capable of being consistent, which can and usually does trickle into other areas of my life. So, this is probably the most self-discipline I've been able to implement for the longest amount of time, and in doing so, I just feel like I can stay or stick to any type of routine, which is incredibly it's a great confidence boost. And I also think that I can't see myself ever not working out, right? And as I get older, I want to make sure that this continues to stay a top priority. So I feel like building this routine and staying consistent with it while I was younger, excuse me, Steve, I'm going to run that back. So I feel like building this routine and this consistency while I was younger will help me continue to do so as I get older and get later in life. I personally don't see a season where I'm never not working out. Okay, the next way I have mastered self discipline is building City Girl savings while working in corporate America. So, first, if you want to hear that entire story about how I started in corporate America, grew City Girl Savings, and then went full time with my business, check out City Girl Savings podcast episode 119, how I grew City Girl Savings while working in corporate America for the full story. But ultimately, for 6 years, I worked in corporate and I worked for City Girl Savings. And might I add, while I was working in corporate, I was growing in my career. Like I was working my way up. I was getting promoted and getting new titles. When I left the company, I had a VP title, and I was doing this all while building City Girl Savings. I would be on calls for my corporate job during the day, and then I would take City Girl Savings client calls at night. Not only that, during those 6 years, I would leverage the weekends to get City Girl savings work done that I couldn't get to during the week. I would get my corporate work done early, and accurately, right? I wasn't just getting stuff done and moving on. I would do my work as efficiently as possible so that I could shift my focus to my business. I would be on in both places at the same time. And I'm not by any means saying that I recommend that, but doing so definitely helped me to keep my mental game sharp. It also taught me that not everything is urgent. I had to learn how to prioritize what was most important, whether it was something happening in corporate or something happening in my business, get the most important thing done, and then move on to the next thing. I couldn't do 10 things at once, right? So I really learned prioritization during this period of time. And by the time City Girl Savings started making equivalent to what I was making in corporate, I was starting to feel the weight of doing both. Thankfully, I knew that my goal was to run City Girl Savings full time, and I had started saving to help me reach that goal. I chose an amount well above what I needed because I knew that cushion would help me focus. I am not the type of person who can be thrown into the deep end and figure it out and thrive. I'm much more a planner. I would rather have my cushion. I don't want to stress about things if I don't have to. And this entire experience required planning, discipline, and sacrifice, but it allowed me to grow a full-time business while still earning income. So no regrets here. And it was definitely something that helped me master my self-discipline to get me to the next level. All right, moving on to the next way I have mastered self-discipline to help me reach my goals. Sticking to a budget while still enjoying life. So it should come as no surprise to you that mastering self-discipline has had a positive impact on my finances. I mean, I'm a money and budget coach for a reason too. I personally have learned how to control my spending and how to stay consistent with money management. So of course, I help other women do the same. But that's not to say I'm perfect, because once again, I'm not. I have definitely gone through the ups and downs of overspending. I have racked up credit card debt in my past, and I sought validation from material things. But I was put in a position where I was forced to look at my financial decisions, but I did so and I didn't look back. Being forced or not to really get control of my financial life, regardless if I had to or not, it was something that I did do, and I'm so glad I did. Since that time, I've been able to create a budget that includes my priorities, my goals, and room for me to enjoy life. And I stick to that budget and know how to make changes on the fly should things come up in my financial situation. Again, I'm not perfect here, but I know how to do the best I can to stick to my budget, and I know how to shift gears if something goes off track. I feel like, I have practiced discipline by saying no to unnecessary spending. I automate my savings and investment transfers, and I just stay consistent. I always track my spending. I always create a new budget every month. I'm always looking at my budget for the month. And doing this over the course of time has led me to reaching major goals like running City Girl Savings full time, purchasing a second home in Palm Springs, and just securing the bag for, retirement. So I feel really good about sticking to a budget while enjoying life. It's definitely helped me master self-discipline and get me to the next level. I talk more about how managing my money has boosted my confidence in City Girl Savings podcast episode number 141. I will link to that in the show notes if you want to hear. The final and actually most recent way I have mastered self-discipline to reach new goals is maintaining a gluten and dairy-free diet. So the most recent way, like I mentioned, that I've mastered self-discipline is with my new diet and supplement routine. I feel like I've talked about this quite a lot in recent episodes, but after seeing a naturopathic doctor, I learned just how bad my gut inflammation had become. And after speaking to this doctor, I immediately cut out dairy, cut out gluten, and implemented a supplement routine. So that was back in February of 2025. Since then, I've lost 16 pounds. And I have stayed consistent with this. I know it hasn't been that long. We're approaching, 6 months or so. But I've stayed consistent with this. I've seen the results. I feel better. I look better. I have reduced my belly bloat significantly. And I have a more regular digestion cadence. And sorry if that's a little TMI, but my kind of gut issues have been around for a while. And it took me a long time to actually get to a real solution. You heard earlier that I have been working out regularly for 10 plus years. So imagine having that type of routine and then you're still gaining weight or your stomach is still bloated. It was definitely a bit defeating, but it encouraged me to seek out solutions. I personally thought my problem was physical. I mean, I knew my diet wasn't great, but after really going hard with gluten-free and dairy-free, I see that whatever I had done in the past really wasn't enough. In fact, maybe a few years ago, I tried going gluten-free, but I don't think I did it right. This was, me doing my own research and trying to figure out, okay, what does that mean? I didn't do it properly. So I think seeing the naturopathic doctor, getting the guidance I needed, having her look at my blood work and tell me, based on what she's seeing, this is what she recommends, total game changer. And I just want to say I'm proud of myself for not giving up when I easily could have, right? I could have just accepted that I'm always going to have a belly bloat or, I'm always not going to feel my best. And maybe that's just stress, right? I took the steps to find the solution and I'm very glad I did. So those are just a few examples of some of the ways self-discipline has, been mastered and helped me to reach new levels. I want to just end with a few things. First, I want to share what mastering self-discipline has done for me. I mean, obviously, I went through those specific examples and there were benefits that came from each of them, but I think as a whole, self discipline has really helped me to build a strong sense of self trust. Like, I know I can follow through on what I say I'm going to do. I know I can keep promises to myself. It's also helped boost my confidence. Like, being self disciplined has forced me to do hard things, to be uncomfortable, to sit in that uncomfortableness. And I've come out on the other side of it. So I have proof of the importance of staying disciplined, right? And that alone is a confidence boost. I know I'm capable of doing hard things, and I know I'm capable of being okay after I do those things. Self discipline has also opened doors to greater freedom for me, like time freedom, money freedom, health freedom, peace of mind. I am not where I want to be yet, right? But I know that I have the skill set to continue working to get there. And I feel like that's priceless. And then finally, self discipline has really shaped my identity as someone who follows through, even when it's not easy. And that really makes me love and appreciate myself even more. All right, I am all about taking action, and I want to end this episode with some tips to help you strengthen your own self discipline muscle. So, first off, hopefully, my experiences with self discipline and staying consistent with it have inspired you to kind of do the same. If you don't know where to start, I'm going to share some tips to help. First, start small and stay consistent. Do not aim to overhaul your life, your health, your career, your diet all at once and overnight. Okay? Pick one thing to be consistent with and take it from there. So, let's say your goal is to lose weight and be healthier. Maybe instead of completely overhauling your workout routine, your diet, your clothes, your closet, all of that, you start with increasing your daily water intake or 10-minute walks a day, right? So start with something small and build that consistency. Think about the goal that will have, the most impact on your health, your mind, and your well-being, and make it a point to prioritize any tasks or to-dos related to that goal first. I think seeing progress in that area specifically will fuel motivation. Motivation, self-discipline exists even when motivation doesn't, but motivation makes staying disciplined even easier. Okay, and the next tip I have is to track your progress. So you can use like a habit tracker, a journal, a calendar, like the Notes app in your phone, but track your progress. Seeing visual proof of your discipline really helps reinforce it. So take pictures, set calendar reminders, put inspirational messages around your house. Just keep your why and your progress top of mind so you continue to stay disciplined, even if you're having an off day. Another tip is to create structure that actually supports discipline. Okay, so where can you make your life easier? Where can you reduce decisions you have to make so that it's easier for you to stay on track and stay disciplined to the things you're working towards? So you could plan your days at the start of the day or at the end of the previous day. You can meal prep. You can automate your savings and investments tracker. Make it easy for you to stay on track. Create that structure, that routine that will help you stay in line. So you can establish a morning or a nighttime routine and dedicate that time to making your plans. I feel like winging it makes self-discipline that much harder to implement. Okay, next tip is to learn to delay gratification. And I know I talk about this a lot on the podcast as it relates to finances, but it really can be applied to all areas of life. Practice saying not right now instead of no forever, right? Over time, this builds that mental muscle. When you say no to something, it's not a forever no. It's, hey, not right now because this is not helping me get to where I want to go. I do this with my clients. I constantly remind them that being uncomfortable, saying no, doing things they maybe don't want to do is all temporary. It is a temporary situation to help you get to where you ultimately want to go. And the final tip I have is to celebrate the wins, big and small. acknowledge every time you stay disciplined, even if no one else sees it. All that matters is that you see it and you know. And trust me, that will build momentum. You have to appreciate your own success. You have to give yourself compliments and recognition. It will go a long way. So, I mentioned earlier that my hope for this episode was for you to take some of the things away to start working on your own self discipline. I know I've reinforced the importance of self discipline for myself, and there are some amazing things awaiting us. Let's keep working towards them.